Pearl Talent Collective is a woman-owned consultant firm that is able to coach your HR team to greatness. With 20 years of experience in HR, you would be hard-pressed to find another consultant firm that is able to produce the results needed for today's work environment. From helping your team maintain their goals, all the way to structuring the groundwork for a successful team for your new company and everything in between. Contact Pearl Collective as your consultant today and let success become the new standard. RH UAV Images is an Orlando, Florida-based drone footage group that can provide quality film and images from another level. From roof inspections after a bad storm to outdoor events and weddings, we can provide that for you. Let us work with your business and get recognized by future customers with a unique view of your business. Realtor looking to give your next client a different look on a property? We can do that and give your next client a broader look into their future home. Into car or motorcycle culture? We can get you set up with the right footage for your ride and or group. With affordable pricing in mind, we make drone images accessible to anyone looking for that extra flair for social media, to general safety concerns with storm damage to your home or business. Contact us through Facebook at RH UAV Images for scheduling and let us give you altitude on what you're looking for. Welcome to the Intoxication Station. I'm here today with a recurring guest that we have on board. Ryan, how are we doing today?
What's going on, guys?
Going pretty well. And we also have Nolan Dodd, one of the guys that we used to work with back in the day while working at the gun store. Dodd, how are we doing today?
Howdy. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. So what we're going to do, we're going to play a little game called RNG Roulette. Now, after going through and over reading some of the questions that people have added to this over the past couple of weeks, it's going to get interesting really quick. So as of right now, we have a total of 97 questions. And as long as everyone's ready, let's go ahead and get started.
Okie dokie.
All right. So question number one. What is your biggest regret? Now, since I am hosting this, I'll go ahead and start off with my first answer. I would have to say my biggest regret would be not doing sports back in middle school. Because, I mean, back then, I didn't really do much as far as curricular activities with the school. And just sat at home, did nothing, lived a boring life back then. But after seeing all the people that I've known over the years play sports back then, I don't know if they've quite peaked as far as like in life. I do know that they all have messed up knees, but yeah, it still would have been nice to be able to play sports back then. Now, Dodd, do you have a biggest regret?
The one that I can only think of is I wish that I would have done another enlistment when I was in the Marines.
All right.
So instead of doing 4 years, I kind of wish that I did do another like 2 to 4.
All right. Now, it is good to point out that you are our first vet on the channel, so that's pretty cool. The fact that you're a Marine is even better. I'll make sure to send you a nice box of crayons at some point or another for participation.
Absolutely.
And Ryan, what would be your biggest regret?
God, that's a long list. I would honestly say my biggest one I'd say is having to go through 3 divorces. I think that's my biggest regret. The first one I understood we were too young and we weren't alike in any way, shape, or form. The second one, we were really good together. I just worked so damn much. We became roommates and it just kind of faded away. And the third one, I ended up marrying my best friend. And I thought, I cannot screw this up. We can't screw this up. We found a way to do it. And I think that third one's probably my biggest regret. You know, if you can't stay married to your best friend, that's kind of a kick in the teeth.
Right.
But if I could do it over again, I would have just done the third one first. But that didn't go that way.
Which, I mean, it happens. I mean, that's just life in a nutshell. Because if it's one thing that you can do in life, if you want to make God laugh, tell me your plans.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, he's
Let's do it.
gonna switch it up on you real quick.
But I mean, it worked out. I'm in a relationship with myself now. I'm learning to love me.
Well, don't forget about your cute little puppers that you have.
Yeah, he's here somewhere. I think he's sleeping on the bed.
Hell yeah. All right, let's go on to question number 2. Question number 2. All right, probably going to do my first jug. So, Dodd, I'm asking you,
Okay.
what's your favorite sport of all time?
Gotta be baseball. Baseball, I played as a kid, played with friends all the time. It was just a sport that I could actually, one, was good at,
Mm-hmm.
and two, I could understand, if that makes any sense.
I know, like, it is a fairly easy sport to play overall, especially as a kid. Like, ball throws at you, hit ball, run the next base, repeat.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, yeah, like, I understand it. Yeah, I understand it. Ryan, what?
Like,
Or you want to keep on going?
as you get older, you get better at it. I mean, like pitchers throw harder, and then you have to evaluate. Okay, this guy's throwing like 70, 80 miles an hour as like a high schooler, and you're like, you have to determine within like not even half a second, like less than a blink of an eye. Okay, should I swing or should I just say fuck it and just not hit it at all?
Just eat the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And
Ryan, what's your favorite sport?
I mean, far and away, it's football. I mean, especially now living back in Texas. I mean, you think Florida's a big football state. You can't walk around the corner here without seeing some football or high school or college team being represented. And it's insane. Like I've gone to a high school football game. I've gone to a college game right around the corner from here, Sam Houston State, which I didn't know was as competitive, but this is one of the best years they've ever had. And they played UCF here. I was like, that's insane that they have teams that, I figured they're playing a bunch of teams that you never heard of, like the Toledo Turtles or something. They play like legit teams. I didn't know much about them until this year. And then you've got A&M's not far from here, the University of Texas not far from here. I mean, I know the University of Houston's down south, but no one really cares about their football team.
Mhm.
And you got the Texans. We're right between the Texans and the Cowboys. So at least I'm close to the one team I love and near a team I can mildly tolerate.
So, I mean, that's just Texas culture. Like, it's either football or you're being enlisted or you're going to the oil fields. Like, there are other avenues as far as a male growing up in Texas, but you're really limited on, like, manly professions out there.
You would think there's a lot of weird stuff out here too. Like here where I live, it's either you're working in retail or you're working in a prison system or the oil fields if you can drive.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm at, that's all that's around here.
Pretty Texas.
Very
Texas. Oh. So, favorite sport of all time for me, I can't really say, only because I'm not that much of a sports ball kind of person. Like, I know sports exist. Promise you on that one. But as far as like favorite sport is like sit down and watch, I really don't have any. At least off the top of my head, like seeing a rugby match is cool because they beat the absolute shit out of each other. Same thing with
Rugby is insane.
oh yeah, like they go hard in the field. And same thing with hockey too. Like it's part of the rules to like beat the shit out of the people at some of the players that are on the opposing team. If it's a really bad game, you beat up each other, which is cool. I mean that's definitely something.
Hockey's definitely my second favorite, but it's very technical. You just go out there and you see these guys flying up and down the ice and throwing shoulders, but when you really watch what they're trying to do, it's very technical and it's easy to see at the speed they play that game. Just the little minute mistakes, the puck flies where you don't want it to go and it causes all these crazy breakoffs. But it's a fun game to watch when you know more about it. 'Cause when I first watched it and I first, played street hockey and everything, we just were out there smacking the stuff around. But when you start realizing, oh, okay, when you start playing together as a team, you step up. It's like basketball on ice, but, without flopping. And that's what I always liked about it.
See, the biggest thing with me as far as ice hockey went was following the puck across the ice. Like the puck is black, the ice is white, but that thing rockets across so damn quick that it's so hard to keep up with.
Oh yeah,
for me, anyways.
Feels great when you get smacked in it when you're sitting in the stands too.
Hell yeah! All right, question number 3. What do we got here? Question number 3. So Ryan,
Sure.
this one's for you, and you're gonna get a giggle out of this one. Have you ever worn a Glock Girl shirt?
I have not. I've owned a Glock T-shirt and several Glock firearms and a Glock backpack. I have never specifically worn one myself. Ray, have you?
No, I can't say that I have. And yeah, as far as the whole Glock atmosphere or whatnot, I've owned a few Glock firearms over the years. I've had a couple of their patches and whatnot. Dodd, have you ever worn a Glock Girl T-shirt?
Hmm. Let me think. Let me think. Fuck yeah, I want a Glock Girl t-shirt or tank top or whatever. Hell yeah, I did.
Hell yeah. Well, luckily you were honest on that one because we do have a photo of it. I'll make sure to insert it through editing and whatnot, and it looks fantastic on you, good sir.
Well,
You know what?
appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
He strutted in that thing. He wore
Oh
that
yeah.
with the confidence that you would not have thought would be able to come out. But he looked like he was in his own skin.
It looks great.
It makes me
There's
feel like
another.
a
He did a
deeply
photo
closeted
shoot.
man.
He did a photo shoot on the back of a motorcycle in that shirt. I didn't have the
Hmm.
photos anymore, but those were breathtaking.
Oh yeah.
I mean, calendar quality.
I definitely had a boner during that.
Oh dear God, y'all are.
I was honored too because Tim, who had the motorcycle who we were doing the photo shoot with, he never let anybody on the back of that besides
Nope.
his girl at that point. So I thought I was honored. So I couldn't really say no to it at that point.
Well,
You were definitely in rare company for sure.
mhm.
You were honored. It was tasteful. It wasn't slutty. It was tasteful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as long as you do it
Agree.
tastefully, it's art at that point.
It
You can
was
call it whatever the fuck you want to call it.
it was so lavender. That was during a Glock event we had, if I remember, or during one
Hmm.
of our sales where we had Glocks and they gave us a whole bunch of freebie stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what the dare was. I just remember there was 4 or 5 of us crowded outside while you were changing. I'm like, he's not really doing it, and
There
he
there
he
wasn't
did.
it wasn't a dare. There was just like, hey Dodd, you want to put this on? And I was like, sure, why not?
I was trying to give you so much more credit. Oh, okay.
Hey, all right.
Hey, but he did get to keep it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I honestly couldn't tell you where it is.
I'm gonna say somewhere.
It is definitely somewhere.
Probably. I don't think I threw it out. I think it'd be too that piece of clothing is too nostalgic for me at this point.
It had a short history, but it had a good
Hmm.
history.
That was right before COVID too,
Yes, it was.
because we had the
Right.
gold sale and then we had COVID like the week right after that. I think during it actually.
I'm trying to remember the exact timeline, but I want to say it was a Christmas sale. And then 3 months later in March is when COVID hit. And it was just nuts to butts in that place. You couldn't see the windows for 6 months because
Hmm.
everyone in the world suddenly felt like, I need a gun. I need 7 guns.
Everybody.
Everyone. Oh my God.
That is.
The only time I saw that many people in that store was right after the Pulse nightclub shooting.
Mhm.
Those are the two
Oh
times
shit.
I saw the most people in that place. And all walks of life.
Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
The most people I saw was, and this is not knocking anybody, but the Asian community and all the families who own
Oh yeah.
salons and the all places.
Mhm.
Restaurants,
They were
everyone.
putting themselves to the T.
I need AK-47, 5 of them. I'm like, we don't have, and that's half of them. Yeah, it's not even a joke. Like they were all
Hmm.
coming in. That's all they we needed. That's all they knew what to ask for. That's all they
Yeah.
really thought they needed. But they never even held a gun in their life before,
Mhm.
and we didn't
Nope.
have any anyway at that point. But it was they're just buying everything they could. I'm like, you need to know how to use this. We figure it
Hmm.
out. And they take off. Nothing, thank God, ever happened. But
Yeah.
we armed all of Central Florida
Oh yeah.
twice
Yes.
for in those 6 months. It was insane.
That was crazy.
Oh yeah. Now, whenever I got on board was right at the beginning of 2021, so I did miss a good majority of the COVID, all the COVID panic buying, anyways. But I did make it in there for President Biden's inauguration, which that was
Yeah.
nuts. That was
Yep.
a hell of an introduction to the firearms industry. Yeah, pandemonium. Pandemonium. I've never seen people throw money around like that trying to get something that they'll probably never use. I mean, it was just as bad in my eyes as people buying generators at a home improvement store right before a hurricane. And I can promise you, 5 years later, no one's taking the generator out of the box.
No, they probably returned it as soon as the storm was over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing with the whole return policy with said place that we worked at. Yeah, you're getting that 20% restocking fee. Well, I don't want to pay the
No, you
restocking
didn't even
fee.
get a once you took that gun, there was no restocking fee.
Mhm.
It was we can buy it back as a used firearm
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
it left. We don't know what's happened with that gun once it leaves.
Mhm.
You know, if you only need it for the night and you're going to bring it back, that's not what a rental gun is.
No.
Sorry.
Uh,
Oh well, fun times.
that it was. It was entertaining time to say the least. Bad entertainment, but entertaining nonetheless.
Oh, yeah.
Always had a good time.
All right, so going on question number 4 now. Question number 4. Goddamn sports questions. So, no.
Can you go to another one?
No. I mean, you'll like this one. I'm pretty sure Dodd can put in on it. So, while I drink my beer, Dodd,
Mhm.
best coach of your favorite college or professional team? Who do you believe that is?
Fuck. I'm not really into sports that deep, but if I had to choose, just based off of what I know, Herman Brooks, the Miracle on Ice coach
Mm-hmm.
from the Olympics of what 1980?
1980.
1980, yeah. I think probably him. He's the first one that comes to mind.
Doing a lot better than I am. Ryan?
I would go with Tom Landry, the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys from its inception until it was purchased by Jerry Jones. Always walking that sideline with his fedora. Uh, Super Bowl rings in the 70s. I mean, he had a sense of old school class about him. You know, when I was born, always watching him in a suit and a fedora walking around the sidelines. He was kind of like the last of that decent 60s era throwback to like Vince Lombardi and guys like that. And when it passed away a few years ago, the Cowboys had a patch on their uniform that was just the fedora that he'd wear for Tom Landry. And he had such an impact on their team and their culture that even now, which clearly isn't happening this season, but when they're leading in the fourth quarter and they're going to the kneel down and just trying to run the clock out before they line up, they'll line all up and then they'll just kind of do this, you know, stand bob and then go down. And that's something that Tom Landry always had his guys doing. And it still happens throughout now, just kind of a nod to him and their past. So just from being a football fan, obviously a Cowboys fan, that's something I've always appreciated.
That was very pretty.
You all right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, doing fine here. Yeah, unfortunately, so I should have said Bill Belichick just because that's the only name that really pops up. Quite honestly, I don't know who he was coach of. Was it the Patriots?
Yes.
Ah,
Currently, now with the University of North Carolina, he just signed up with them
yeah.
Good.
Hell of a retirement.
with his 20-some-year-old girlfriend. Yeah, he's pushing 80.
My God. Good for him.
Obviously, obviously he has no problem recruiting college-age talent.
Yeah, good for him. Good for him.
Good for her too, maybe.
No, good for him.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, good for him because if anything were to be, I don't know, legally officiated between the two, she's gonna make out something fierce. Like all that money and everything's going right to her. If there isn't a prenup
She's
involved.
hoping.
Oh yeah.
She's hoping she can give that guy a heart attack that the Bills defense couldn't.
And she's just gonna walk away with all that money in hand.
I'm sure there's going to be a prenup involved at some point, but I don't think Bill's of that mindset that he's going to hook up and shack up forever.
Mm-hmm.
He knows he's smart.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. He is a coach. He knows where talent is just by looking at it.
And he never keeps players for very long. Once they get to a certain age, just like Leonardo DiCaprio, once you're 28, you're out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Bill's going to be the same mindset.
Oh yeah.
as far as his dating life too now.
What works on the field works off the field.
At least there's grass on this one.
All right, so going on to question number 5. Dodd, what is the most irrational fear you have?
Probably moths.
Moths?
Moths. I fucking hate those little creatures from hell. They are just disgusting little things, man. They just sit on a wall, do nothing, and then they try and find a fucking lamp, and then they're just disgusting.
Uh,
And if one is by me, I freak out. I can't, like, spiders and snakes and everything I'm fine with.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes to moths, it's like, get it the fuck away from me. I'm about to shoot myself in the face because I do not want this thing touching me. I hate them so much.
So,
They are gross.
of all things to have a fear of, I would have never thought a moth.
Oh my god, I freeze whenever I see one. Like even like the bright orange ones that look all pretty and shit like that. No. It's Satan's version of a mosquito. That's literally what it is.
Now, would that apply to butterflies as well? Or are butterflies
Yeah,
all right?
No, butterflies are fine because they actually have a purpose. You know what I mean? Like moths, they're just they're gross. You know? See? Ugh.
So
Yes.
what if I would have what if it was phrased that moths are the vampire butterflies? Like they only come out at night, they do night stuff. But instead
they're out there all the time too. I see them all the time.
Oh yeah.
Moths are everywhere.
They are.
So you're
like every single time they're by the lights, they're by the lamps. It's like if I'm going outside and I'm going down a stairwell or something like that with the lights on the stairwell, like it's just like you can't even see the light because there's so many fucking moths there.
How many moths are in your area that they're covering lights?
Okay, maybe not that much, but I see them all the time, and I always avoid them. If there's like a moth like on the stairwell, like just sitting there, I take another route. I don't even want to. I'm not even kidding. I take another route. I don't even go around it. I don't try and kill it because I just take another route.
I'm astounded by this knowledge.
I hate them so much.
Yeah.
I mean, you're entitled to it. And this is a judgment-free podcast.
That it is. Because, I never would have thought of being afraid of a moth. So, that's definitely up there. Now, Ryan, based off the conversations that we've had in the past with tarantulas and how you had to shoot them with a fucking rifle to be able to get them away from you and whatnot, what is your most irrational fear that you have?
I can't say I have any irrational fears. I think I have fairly normal fears. But if I were to pick an irrational one for the sake of topic, I would say not being paralyzed, but being fully conscious, fully awake, fully mentally there, but unable to move or emote so that other people know that you're alive and listening to them to discuss, the final preparations, what a morgue they're going to ship you to, what the funeral home is, and you're just in your own head screaming, "Hey, I'm here! Come on, make a finger wiggle. Let's let them know I'm here," and you just can't physically do it. I think if there's an irrational fear I have, having to think of one, I think that'd be pretty terrifying. Not as terrifying as moths, actually, but I still think that might be in the top 30.
So, what you're describing is basically sleep paralysis.
I don't mean sleep paralysis. I mean, because that comes and goes. I mean, days on end, going on weeks, pushing months, and just listening to people, just like, God, he was, I wish he's comatose, but he's not really there. I think we could pull the plug, blah, blah, blah. And just having to listen to that for, weeks and weeks and weeks on end until they finally get to that decision and you can't do anything. You'd be like, I'm fine. I just can't move or blink.
Yeah. Like that's a pretty good one. That is a pretty good one. So I would have to say my most irrational fear would be driving on backcountry roads at night, and you gotta make that turn around that one corner, and there's just a flock of animals there, whether it be sheep, deer, turkey, cows, and you have no time to stop. Like you're making that turn at 45 miles an hour, and right in front of you is Betsy the cow. Because So you know what I do for work, Dodd. In recent years, I'm a full-time Uber driver now, And when it comes to driving Uber in Orlando, you're never guaranteed to be in Orlando the entire time. And
Yeah.
I've wound up in places that I wonder how people get power to their house. Like out in the middle of absolute country. It's pretty during the daytime because you can see what true Florida is at that point. But when it comes nighttime, whatever's in your headlights, that's it. That's your entire world is whatever you can see in your headlights. And especially going out towards Brooksville and whatnot on the backcountry roads, because that's basically the only way they can get out to Brooksville from Orlando. It can get a little tricky at night.
Just try to avoid the meth lab.
See, I'm not worried about the rainbow people of Ocala or any of the meth labs or anything like that, because I know what they're doing. Like, they're trying to get high, they're making meth, and as long as I stay away from them, I'm good. Now, if it's some meth head in the middle of the road and I'm barreling around a corner, guess what? It wasn't his day. Chances are he's gonna get up and walk away like nothing happened anyways.
He'll probably
And
feel it later when he's somewhat sober at that point. But at the moment, no, he's not going to feel it.
Well, I mean, you got.
I kind of always wanted to ask you, since you've been an Uber driver for as long as you have, and you've gone everywhere in Central Florida and to the around it, when you drive through the villages, have you ever put a loofah on your car just to show solidarity?
Dude, as far so for the viewers that may not know what the villages are, a gigantic retirement facility just outside the Ocala, Florida area, and there are so many documentaries out there on the villages. One of which that keeps coming up on the documentaries are the loofahs, and with the people of the villages, that's how they sign off to let other people up there know what they're into. And I'll just go ahead and leave it at that. Some things are absolutely disgusting up there, but these are also the people that were raised in the peace and love and all that kind of like jazz and whatnot.
These are people's grandparents, and they put colors on their vehicles and on their doorsteps to let other couples know if they're strictly into voyeurism, and watching or sharing, swapping, or complete sharing, or no holds barred. No pun intended.
Also on their golf carts too.
Yes.
Which there's a lot of golf carts up there. And
very, very interesting when those vehicles would pull into the parking lot of our shop and we'd see it adorned on there and they want to come talk about firearms. That was a point of topic. Not that I ever brought up, but it's been discussed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's hard to ignore. Because, I mean, let's be honest. People are into some weird shit. And sometimes it's fun to talk about.
And we may get to a few of those questions.
Yeah. So, Ryan, for question number 6. Question number 6. Oh, looks like one of the ones that you produced for us. This is a good one. If you could smack the shit out of one person, who would it be and why?
All right, so out of one person.
Just a person.
I don't really have anyone specific, but I think it'd be funnier if I could just pick one random complete stranger, just out of nowhere, just smack the shit out of them, walk away, and just have them thinking, what the fuck was that? What did I do? Who was that guy? I think just that in itself would be funny, albeit cruel. I'm not saying that it's not cruel, and I don't stand by it. I wouldn't do it, but only because I don't have anyone in my life right now that I feel like really needs to get it. I just think that just for the humorous side of it, just to have everyone else be like, what the fuck was that about? I have no idea. You just stood there and just smacked the shit out of me and walked away. And he had to take it. They can't do anything. I think that would be fun.
I think the funniest part about that is you're never going to remember their face, but they always your face forever.
Oh, to the day they die. To the day they die, they know.
They're going to be like, okay, if I ever see this fucking guy ever again, which I probably never will, but if I ever do, I will know exactly who he is.
Like that one.
That one.
Right there.
That guy. That son of a bitch right there.
I've never seen it before in my life. Just in a random country. This guy just climbed off an elephant or whatever, in India. And he's just going back to his house and some guy says, I don't know you. Or whatever.
So I'll agree with you on that one, but I'll take it one step further. At an airport, anybody that's on their speakerphone carrying on with a conversation.
Yes, yes. No, just not even at an airport, just anybody on a speakerphone in a public place.
Oh yeah, like why? Why? You have all the technology at your disposal to not do that, and yet you choose to do that. It is so aggravating.
It's always on full volume too.
Oh yeah.
It's never like a guy like up on his ear trying to at least be somewhat polite about it. No, it's just full blast. Like same thing with music. When music is being played in public places, like from like people's phones, like I just they need to get a punch in the dick. That's what they need to do.
Oddly specific place to smack the shit out of someone.
Well, I mean, it didn't specify where you would smack them. Just who would you smack and why?
Fair enough.
So I have a joke answer and a very specific answer.
Okay.
Which one do you want to hear first?
Well,
specific, please.
Yeah, let's go.
Specific? Okay. All right. So when I was, you guys don't know it, but when I was in the Marines, I had this higher ranking guy who was in charge of my company. And he was just from day one, when I got to the unit, he was just a complete asshole and dick to me for no reason. I wasn't doing anything wrong. It just, for some reason, he pinned me on everything. So it came to a point where I was about to get promoted to corporal and everything's going to get set. And then for some reason, he interfered with that. I'll make a long story short. He took my rank. He did what's called an NJP, a non-judicial punishment, and he took that rank. So I wasn't able to get to corporal, and I got busted back down to PFC, private first class. And I always wanted to smack that motherfucker in the face.
Any explanation why?
Not really, to be honest. I don't even know. He blamed me for something that I didn't do, and it was really hard to prove my point because I was such a young Marine at that point. So he was a young Marine versus a guy who's been in the Marines for 20 plus years at that point.
Oh, so he
was like,
so he just had it out for you just to have it out against you.
Exactly. And I didn't do anything wrong to him. I never fucked with him in any sort of way. But I can tell you that night, I was tempted to put sugar in his gas tank. I was thinking about that so hard.
So violent.
It pissed me off. I was about to get promoted, and then all of a sudden, it got taken away from me. I got demoted, not promoted.
Which, I mean, I'm on board with you on that one. Because, I mean,
yeah, I endorse it.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on to question number 9? No, 7.
Like, we're like, are we on 7?
Yeah, we're on 7. I need to get a pen.
Sure.
Yeah, I need to get a pen and a pad and start like doing hash marks or something. Question number 7. Did you have an imaginary friend growing up? So as far as for me, not that I remember. So where I grew up at was kind of rural at the time. Like I was surrounded by orange groves and had a lake to grow up on. Very fortunate with the upbringing that I had. Like I would be outside fishing on the lake, riding on 4-wheelers, just doing stuff that you would do in the country growing up here in Florida. So as far as growing up with an imaginary friend, not that I can remember. Dodd, did you have an imaginary friend growing up?
I did not. I had 2 older brothers, so we always were just around each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like we shared rooms, so there's really, if I had an imaginary friend, I think my brothers would have beat the shit out of me until I didn't see him anymore. So at that point, I don't think I was allowed to. I knew people. I went to school with people who were my friends. I even went to high school with one kid who thought he was always with somebody else. And he was only at that school for a year, but
he's committed now.
Yeah, so we were always worried about that guy.
Which is fair, because I mean, especially as an adult, if you were to come across someone that's just carrying on a conversation with someone that isn't there, clearly they got something going on. A couple of screws loose, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But as a kid, I mean, could it be looked at as Yeah, they're just being a kid, or do they need medication? Who the hell knows anymore? Especially now, in today's time and whatnot. Ryan, did you have any
I never,
imaginary friends growing up?
I never had any imaginary friends. I'd say the closest I probably would say I came to that was, you remember the old cartoons, when like Tom or Jerry or anything like that. God, I'm old. But they want to do something, and all of a sudden, like the angel devil popped up on their shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "You shouldn't do it. You should." That may have been the closest thing I ever came to. Like when I'd sit there and get really mad as a kid, like I'd stop and be like, I remember that, and I just kind of like had that internal dialogue with, like, this is why I want to do it, this is why I shouldn't do it, and that's
Hmm.
probably the closest I ever came to that. But no, I never had an imaginary friend I'd go out and play stickball with or anything like that. Certainly not beyond the age of like 7
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. But I mean, if I was in high school and I was still like talking to things in my head, yeah, I'd probably wish someone committed me or gave me a lot of Ritalin.
Fair enough. Fair enough on that one. So, going on to question number 8. Dodd, this is a good question. Who would you have a beer with at any time in history and why?
Oh man, that's a good one. Oh man, Helen Keller.
You think you're waterboarding?
I think that would be such a interesting conversation with myself.
Holy shit, dude. That is well, I
Absolutely.
mean, technically you would be having a beer with someone that had like a doctorate. Let's see, what did it
I,
because Helen Keller went to
wasn't there reports that she flew a plane or some shit like that?
You know what? Someone in this audience is going to think we're talking about Anne fucking Frank.
yeah, someone somewhere will. All right, so via Wikipedia, Helen Keller was an American author, disabilities rights advocate, political advocate, and lecturer.
I'll take someone less incoherent than Joe Biden for 300,
Well, I mean, the thing is, she went to
or
college.
less coherent.
God damn.
Did she know she did?
I don't think she did.
What? How old was she when she died?
Uh, let's see. June 27th, 1980 through
Piss me.
June 1st of 1968. So she was she was pretty far up there.
I didn't realize she was 68. Jesus.
No,
I
1968.
thought, I thought,
That's what I'm saying.
it,
1968. I thought it was earlier than that.
Well, no, she was older than that. She was 88 approximately. Yeah, a little over 88 from 1980 to 1968.
Not 1880.
you mean 1880?
It did I? Yeah, 1880. My bad. Yeah, this is nuts. Of course, born in Alabama. Yeah, 87 years old whenever she passed away. God, that's nuts.
I never realized she passed away in 1968. I thought she passed away earlier than that.
And learn sign language. God, that had to been rough.
Wait,
Smarter and more patient than the three of us combined. And I'm
hmm
probably going to go to hell for my impression.
God bless her. Yeah, she definitely did stuff. She did more stuff than I'll ever do. Promise you that much. As far as like the stuff that's impactful to the United States and whatnot. Ryan, who would you have a beer with
God, right now,
at any time in history and why?
at any point in history.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the thing. There's been billions and billions of people in here, and there's so many people. I mean, this is a cliche question for sure, but it's one that you could pick, one of any thousands of people, and it'd all be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And under the concept that you could have an understanding dialogue. Like I couldn't go back in time and talk to Julius Caesar. He'd stare at me like I'm crazy, and vice versa. But I mean, right now, even with anyone in history, I think the most interesting night of having some drinks, and this isn't political in any way, but just because the crazy shit that I think that he could talk about would be Trump. Because look at the year that dude had, and or the last several years this guy's had, what he's gone through, right, wrong, or indifferent. And then to still come back and win an election in a landslide, regardless of political affiliation, that's a conversation of a few whiskeys I'd like to have just to get his uncensored, unfiltered viewpoint from it. And just to be around the one person that can do the best Trump impression outside of Shane Gillis would be him. And I think that would be entertaining as hell for an evening.
Well, because he has been through a lot. I mean, how many attempts were done on his life back in 2024?
I mean, two more than mine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. Like, despite what you think of the guy, I would have to agree with you on that one, just because even if he didn't win the election this time around, just to have a couple of beers with a sitting president at one point in history would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and again, there's so many people that I could have this answer for. I mean, if you would ask me this a week ago, it would probably have been a different person.
Hmm.
But if I'm sitting here right now, and maybe just because I was watching news earlier, just the amount of crazy shit that's gone on in 2024, one person that I think would have the craziest evening of conversation, and not only have it with you, but just unfiltered honesty opinion of himself. He may not get, the absolute truth or whatever, but his opinion on everything. And he wouldn't give a flying fuck about whatever. I mean, he's told every news agency to kiss his ass and judges and sitting federal judges and generals to kiss his ass. You're not going to get a more honest conversation from someone right now than from talking to that guy.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, on par with your answer, if I had to choose anyone to have a beer with in history, would be Theodore Roosevelt.
It's a good one.
Oh yeah, once again, based off of Wikipedia, yeah, 26th president of the United States. He founded the National Forestry, which of all the government agencies that are out there that are like super not in favor with the average citizen of the United States, I'd have to say that the Department of Forestry is probably on, like, everyone can agree that that's a good one.
He was
Oh
also
yeah,
the
absolutely.
basis. He was also for Bruce Wayne and Batman. When the writers were coming up with the concept for the character,
Hmm.
they based it off of Ted Roosevelt.
Really.
From his childhood and his upbringing. He had a lot of death in his family when he was a kid, and then he went away for training, and that was when he had the Rough Riders and all that other shit. And then he came
Mm-hmm.
back, and he was, I believe, at one point he was a policeman. And he was walking around at night with a nightstick, just beating the shit out of criminals. And then he was affluent. He was very, very wealthy and had a kind of a playboy lifestyle. But he'd also go out there and he'd put his fists up and start beating the shit out of you. So they based all that to make Bruce Wayne and Batman, and that's how that whole thing came about. Yeah,
Interesting.
they had an interview with the creators of Batman years and decades ago, and they said that the some of the basis for it was his life.
Which, I mean, of all people to base a comic book series off of, I mean, why not Teddy Roosevelt? By far, personally, I think one of the better presidents that we've had, because I mean,
Hmm.
everything that he did for the country at that time frame, early 1900s and whatnot. I mean, it's all pretty much stayed around since then, especially the Department of
Oh
Forestry.
yeah,
Because if it wasn't for him doing the Department of Forestry, the landscape of America as we know it would not be the same. Because,
that'd be vastly different.
oh, huge, huge difference. Because with the Department of Forestry, uh with the Department of Forestry, he regulated the area for what's now known as Yellowstone National Park to be a national conservation area. And had that not been done, that would have been probably one of the bigger cities in the United States at this point, just because of all the natural resources that are in the area back then. God forbid they would go through and bulldoze Yellowstone National Park now. Like that was probably one of the better things that any sitting president could have done for the nation.
There's a bar over in San Antonio that I was at last year, and that bar was one of the places that Roosevelt would go to recruit for his volunteer cavalry, the Rough Riders. He'd go in there, and that's where they kind of meet up, and he'd kind of talk to people that wanted to join up, and the bar is still there. I mean, you can go there right now, and obviously because I was there last year. But it's neat how it smells like a really old building, even though
Mm-hmm.
everything around it's modern, but the bar is still original. Everything it was kind of a cool place to go and have a whiskey.
Definitely a good place.
Thank you.
So, going on to question number 9. Ryan, what's one thing that you would give up for forever if it meant you can gain one thing forever?
Mm.
Hmm.
I would give up celibacy forever if it meant that I could have a calm, peaceful relationship forever. But I guess that's kind of a conundrum because you can't have one without the other, I
Hmm.
guess. So, but if you're asking me for a wish, that was what it would be. I would give up celibacy forever just to have constant nookie with the same person.
Consistency.
Sure.
Let's see. One thing that I would give up forever if it meant I could gain one thing forever. I would probably give up uh, like cognitive thought if it meant that I could have a peaceful life. Because it seems like the dumber the motherfuckers are out there, the more peaceful of a life they have. Because seriously, the whole thinking thing, it,
You know what? I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one, actually.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely the better answer.
Because I mean, some of these dumb people out there are just living their best life, and they're
Oh, for sure.
happy. They have no worries to worry about. They're just nothing but air between their ears, and they're so happy. What's that like? I would really like to know what that is. Just
Hmm.
pure bliss. Dodd?
I mean, I really have to agree with you on that one, but this is kind of well, it's kind of easy for me. I would give up just internet and all social media for just having a blissful life like that
Fair.
because I I used to like social media, but now I just don't like it anymore. I'm inactive on like most of it. Instagram's really the only thing I actually go on, and if I even go on it, like when I said even, not even,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll go like a week or a couple months without even. It's just so annoying, and you just see just dumb shit all the time, and
Hmm.
sometimes that's the reason why people go on there. It's just to see that. But if all that could go away and everybody could just kind of go back and just kind of be human
Mm-hmm.
again, that would be a lot
I
better.
was gonna say the only time I really see you on any form of social media is when I turn on my Xbox and I see that Finding Bread has done an accomplishment.
There you go. That's that's about it.
Now, like, I can agree with you on that one because people get so caught up in social media nowadays, and it's not even like positive shit that people are going after anymore. It's more the lines of so and so did this, I need to do that, but I have no ambition to
Hmm.
do what they did in order to be able to get to where they're at. Like, it's completely ridiculous out there. Uh,
It's there's so much negativity out there about it, and it just gets more and more. Like just people want to shit on everyone else, and the
Hmm.
little things that can be celebrated, there's always someone trolling in the comments just to be a dick.
mhm,
And so it's not even worth sharing your life with with everyone other than your immediate family or friends. But then someone's going to repost or repost or repost. It's just not worth it. I barely put anything on there except like a picture every now and again,
mhm.
and
Hmm.
that's about the most I'll ever do.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a toxic environment anymore. Well, I mean, considering that, yeah, I'm trying to make a career out of doing the whole influencer. God, I hate saying that. As much as that is, taking the criticism with what I'm trying to do out of this platform and trying to make it something where it's passive income, if anything, there's so many eggshells that I have to step around in order to get what I think is good content out there without stepping on too many toes in the process. Because, I mean, if
Hmm.
it's one thing in life that you can do, you can piss off everybody. If it's another thing that you can do in life, you can never make everybody happy. And yeah, the internet's a prime example of that. Which, I mean, for those that don't want to follow the platform that I have, so be it. I mean, it's not going to affect me any. If there's any kind of negative light that gets thrown my way, cool. If you feel that way, then so be it. I'm not going to make you change your mind. I'm not going to go out of my way to please you as an individual. I mean, it is what it is. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion at the end of the day, but no
Hmm.
one is entitled to make you happy.
The good thing about your stuff, though, is your audience will find it, and then it will find its audience,
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. It's you don't go about it in a way that's diva-ish. You're not going anywhere demanding anything. You just go in
No.
there and you're setting up respectfully when you go out to the restaurants and bars and whatnot, and you do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And in these types of environments that we're doing now, I mean, it's just buddies talking. Just yeah, we have little things to give us little topics to go off of,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just three buddies that we would have the same conversation at the shop
Oh yeah,
when we just
absolutely.
sit there and talk about this stuff. This is
Hmm.
nothing different. We're not trying to go out there and impress anyone.
No.
Maybe trying to make each other laugh and have some honesty thrown in. But at the end of the day, how is this going to offend? If someone's offended by the shit we talk about, they really need to just calm down and stay off the internet because
Oh
this
yeah.
is real life. That might be the Gen X in me coming out, but I'm so sick and tired of people just sitting there. You can't say that. The fuck I can't. I just did.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to piss anyone off. I'm trying to be a little funny. I'm trying to be a little bit honest. But
It's
the same
true.
thing with you guys. Like, who cares? At the end of the day, it's not going to affect you, I, or anyone else. If you like it, watch it. If you don't like it, there's a billion other things you can go off and get offended by.
Oh, exactly. And we're back from a quick beer run. So, Ryan,
Yes.
question number... No, Dodd. We're on question number 10. So, question number 10, who you in? No, we're not going to go with that one just because it's going to take too long to extrapolate. And we're not going to do that one either because... Damn, Ryan. Okay, here's a good one. Dodd,
Mm-hmm.
question number 10. Convince the rest of us that wasps are not assholes.
I think I can't because I fucking hate wasps.
Mm-hmm.
And wasps, that's literally, I think, if I had to define asshole, that would be in there. It would be a wasp.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I think I can convince you guys because they're some of the most infuriating creatures.
well, so they're like a bee, but with none of the benefits of a bee. Like, they don't pollinate.
Mm-mm.
If they sting you, they don't die. They just keep stinging you. They're venomous.
They're the terrorists of bees. That's what they are. They just they're just there to fuck shit up. That's all they're doing.
Oh, yeah. Like, no benefit comes from them. Like, right up there with mosquitoes. They're like proper assholes.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, convince the rest of us that wasps are not assholes.
While I agree with both of you, the purpose of this exercise is to play a defense attorney to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I present to you this argument on behalf of the wasp. Wasps, in nature, are the epitome of castle doctrine in the state of Florida. They stay in their home, they try not to mess with anyone else, but once you get near it or disturb it or enter what they consider to be their property, it's like messing up a trailer park. They come out of everywhere and they will fuck you up. But if you mind your business and keep your distance, you have nothing to worry about. So they're kind of like that trailer park in Bithlow. You
Which
don't ever
one?
want to go there, pick one. Or trailer park in Christmas, Florida. Just stay away. You know they're there. You know it's bad news. You know there's nothing good going to come from it. And if you stumble upon it by accident, retreat quietly in the way you came. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't start none, there ain't going to be none.
And that's a factual statement, too. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Dot on this one. Like, they are absolutely one of the most worthless creatures on this green earth.
Well, if you can't defend them, you have to drink.
Well, Dodd, I guess you're going to have to drink too.
All right. I'll drink the rest of this. I'm poor.
It's so hard coming up with questions that you have to either answer or drink. And the further down I went that road, that's probably why you skipped the last two.
Yeah. So, Ryan,
Yes.
question number 11. If you were given a chance to reinvent an everyday item, what would it be? Example, phones, cars, shoes, etc.
Reinvent an everyday item.
Mm-hmm.
I would reinvent the shower head only because it's not an interesting or hot take, but I like to have it encompass me, envelop me rather,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't matter which ones I get. You either have to buy multiple ones or the ones you get that are big just don't do what I want. It just sprays in one area and you keep standing there doing this shit to get the water. I just
Yeah.
want to have something over me that it just comes down. And on a quick answer, that's the one thing. If I could reinvent, I get a shower head that I could stand under and it just comes down on you. That's my own bitch.
Isn't that what a rainfall shower is?
Yeah.
Yeah, but even my rainfall shower, the diameter is only like that, and it's got
Yeah.
another like removable head. It's just not the same. I want it over me and fall down. Maybe I'm just, I just don't find the right one, but I haven't found the right one yet.
I mean, which is fair because it ain't nothing better than after a long day to take a shower and just stand there and be completely relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So, as far as what I would reinvent on an everyday item, I would probably have to go with the electric toothbrush. Now, the reason why I say that is because electric toothbrush heads, when you go to replace them, are ungodly expensive. And, like, we got the technology out there to be able to make them less expensive, and they don't need to be as bulky, in my opinion, for some of the models out there. Like, so the one that I have is a Sonicare, and it's just bulky, in my opinion. If something was a little bit more toothbrush-like instead of just a stick, was something that you like scrape your teeth with and whatnot, that would probably be a little bit better off. What I would go with personally, though, Dodd, what would you reinvent as far as everyday
Oh,
item?
I think people have tried this and they've gotten killed over it, but the car. You know what I mean? How people like were like, oh, I know how to make a car run off of water
Mm-hmm.
or some sort of extremely easy item to get, but then mysteriously that person kind of
Unalives.
disappears off of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And their plans get disappeared.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, wait, hold on. If we could do that, if we get enough people on board, be that'd be insane.
It really changed the landscape in the Middle East without that oil sale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. That's the thing. It's like, let's say we did water was like the main source for fuel, then water itself would be absolutely, it would just be the opposite. So oil would be like the price of water, and water would be the price of oil. So I don't think it really would matter no matter what, but
I never thought I could fill my car up with gas from my garden hose.
exactly. Like you can just do it right from your home.
Well,
But they say that about electric cars, but I'm like, well,
Yeah,
well,
but a water-based car wouldn't blow up in your
yes,
garage and catch fire.
I
yes.
mean, so that has been done on smaller scales with hydrogen, because there are hydrogen separators that you can pull up the plans on the internet, like they're very well known and whatnot, and there are ways of being able to run current vehicles that are internal combustion motors and being able to run them off of hydrogen in a certain way. The problem that you run into is hydrogen is very explosive when improperly kept or improperly pressurized and whatnot.
Hmm.
And well, it's not like that you have a lithium ion battery that vents off with electric vehicles. You pretty much have a small thermonuclear device that goes off in your garage. So it's not that it would blow up your house, but it would blow up the entire block that you're on and
Think of it
possibly the
like
next one.
the proton accelerator packs from Ghostbusters.
Good way to put it.
But like, it is possible, but to do it safely is the biggest thing. And that's, I mean, that's based off of what's out there available on the internet. I'm sure it's been perfected in some way, shape, or form somewhere. It just hasn't been, like, released to the public, if you will.
Well, if it's on the internet, hasn't it been released to the public?
Well, as far as what is available out there, I'm sure, just like with anything else, I'm sure there's a rabbit hole that we could go under or go in that may be able to explain a little bit better as far as like proper storage, proper ventilation, proper this, proper that, like different things that can be added to it that aren't easily accessible, if you will, without doing an in-depth search. Now, Ryan, for the final question, question number
Mm.
12. Let's see. This is a good one. This is a real good one to end off on. Question number 12. Of the people who are on the podcast, who would you most likely hit on at a gay bar?
Who would
It's
I
easy for
most
me.
who would I most likely or who would get hit on at a gay bar?
Who would most likely get hit on by at a gay bar?
Oh,
God,
oh,
hundred
okay, okay, okay.
100%. It's really splitting hairs because I could see the pluses and minuses on both sides. But I would say that Dodd would be the one that of the three of us who get hung on the most, only because he's got that sweet, innocent little pup look to him, and he looks like he could be controlled if necessary.
You know
Like
what?
I think that,
I'm gonna have to
and as
agree with
soon as
you on
that
that one.
picture hits the as soon as that picture hits the internet, he's going to be just swimming in tons of men that want to have him on the back of their motorcycle too.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
and I'll have to agree with you on that one. I will have to agree with you on that one.
I disagree with you either.
Oh, that's amazing. Something, everything that everyone can agree upon.
That's right.
That
Well,
is,
Not everyone, apparently. He said he's got someone else in mind.
I think I heard the question wrong. It's like out of
Well,
all three of us, who would
Oh,
we?
well, hold on. You thought the question was if the three of us were at a gay bar, who would you hit on? Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's easy for me. I would hit on Ray like in a second. I would just be like, 'cause he's
He's
got
an
that look.
otter. He's an
He's got
otter. I
that.
knew it.
He's just you're just fascinating to me. That's it. And if this comes off a little gay, so be it. But if we were at a bar, if we were both just kind of just looking around, I'd be you.
And you know what? I know when to take my cue to be like, you know what? I'll be over here shooting pool. I'm going to leave you two to talk. Dodd, just go ahead and, you get yours, son.
That's right.
So the problem would be, for me anyways, is I would be completely oblivious to what would be going on. Like, not just striking up conversation. What's up, dude?
He'd be like, nothing. What
Well,
you
I
do?
mean, if I got the idea that you weren't really knowing what I was doing, I would just be completely belligerent. See how big your dick is at that point. And I'd just be like, hey man, like I just need to know. That's what I would do.
Well, Ray, the man asked you a question.
Which before, dear God, that was a good question to leave off on. Dodd, thank you for being on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Ryan, thank you again for coming back to us again. We do appreciate it.
Anytime.
And well, thank you all again for watching. We do appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.